This is birthday cake number 5. Hello Glamour Ghouls, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Midge Munster, and on this channel we do all things campy, kooky, glamorous, and spooky. So I am a liar, and I said that the first video in September would be a decorate with me of the dining room, but I have run into a classic if you give a Midge a cookie situation with that project, and it has doubled in size now. I will say it is going to be incredible. Y'all are going to be, I think, blown away and excited by what I am doing in there, but I do need more time. So this was gonna be next week's video. Gave him the old flipperoonie, but that means today we are doing my annual birthday cake video. If you are new to the channel and you have not seen one of these videos before, I'll give you a little background context. I have made my own birthday cake for the last 4 years. This all started because people kept requesting baking videos on this channel, but there is one very important thing you need to know about me. I am not a baker. I would argue that over doing this for the last 4 years, I have significantly improved my skills and might even call myself an amateur baker now. And I've just fallen in love with doing this tradition. So this year I am celebrating 31 years on the big spinning rock. And while I would love to do another Beetlejuice cake because I am getting the best birthday present in the world this year, a sequel to my favorite film of all time. You'll remember that we did Beetlejuice last year for my 30th, and this turned out pretty spectacular. I don't know that I can do Beetlejuice better than this. So I was trying to decide what to do for 31, and somebody messaged me and reminded me of a comment that was left on my video last year saying that for my 31st birthday, we should do a Halloween specific cake because 31, October 31st, right? I love this idea. We haven't actually done an orange and black cake in the 5 years that we've been doing this. We've done green, we've done pink, but never a traditional Halloween cake. So that's what we're going to do today. But more specifically, I have been dying to make one of those vintage heart cakes. And this year I took a class with my friend Lindsay, who runs Sweet Cheeks Cakery. She is such a talented baker. Please go follow her stuff. She's amazing. But she kind of specializes in these vintage heart cakes, or she does coffin-shaped ones as well that are very cool. But she's kind of a master of this, icing technique. And that's one thing we really haven't tackled in the cake cinematic universe is a truly buttercream decorated cake. We've mostly done fondant cakes in the past. And for Valentine's Day this year, I took a class with Lindsay where we iced little heart cake boxes. Y'all, I did this. I iced this. Pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. So this precious little box has given me some false confidence in my ability to make a really cute heart vintage cake. But you all know me, we are not here just to make an orange and black heart-shaped cake. That is not spooky enough for me. So I figure let's flip the heart upside down, make a planchette-shaped cake, and we're going to try to use some isomalt to make a little glass center for the planchette. And if we can figure it out, my dream for this is that inside the glass of the planchette, like you're moving it around the board and seeing letters and numbers, we'll be able to look down in it and see the number 31. So that's the idea. I am feeling overly confident and extremely excited. We are gonna make our own cake to start, so let's start mixing dry ingredients and I'll tell you what we're getting up to. So because we are doing a Halloween cake, I wanted to do a flavor that was really Halloween-y and fall specific. So we are doing a brown butter pumpkin cake with a dulce de leche buttercream frosting, which I think sounds so freaking delicious. I'm so excited about this. I will include this recipe in the description box, but this is from The Food Duchess is the name of the blog. So y'all know I go back every year and watch the previous videos to just kind of see where I was at, see how things have changed. It's always a nice little moment of reflection for me right before my birthday. And it was kind of funny watching last year's because I was so excited to turn 30. And I was just so like optimistic about my 30s. And it's, you know, it's not like funny haha, but it's just so funny that maybe 3 weeks after that video last year, things got pretty bad in a pretty dramatic way and stayed bad for about 6 months. Most of you know at this point that I spent most of my 30th year alive just incredibly sick, and I took kind of a like unannounced leave from YouTube for almost 6 months. My one complaint with this recipe is it calls for cinnamon and allspice, but not nutmeg or ginger, which I think are required in a pumpkin dessert. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon of both of those. But yeah, it's just, you know, I had all these plans and I was so excited about all the things I was going to do in my 30th year. And I think it's just a good reminder that like you don't know what life is going to throw at you next. But I am so thankful that I spent the majority of this last year taking care of myself. And I will never be sorry that I did that. It was so important to me that I don't spend the rest of my 30s feeling the way I was feeling. So I'm having such mixed feelings going into 31 because in a way I feel like I blinked and 30 is gone. And I'm kind of like reckoning with the fact that it doesn't really feel like I did anything this last year except get healthy. But that was really all I had the capacity to do, and that's okay. But with that being said, I am so excited to start 31 on what feels like a completely fresh slate. I have felt like a completely different person since my surgery. It's amazing how much like space I have for creative capacity and like happiness and excitement for things when I'm not constantly worried about just like surviving. So all of that to say that I am really excited about the prospect of a new year. I've always kind of treated my birthdays more like a new year than New Year. Like this is the time of year where I tend to set resolutions for myself, revisit my goals, and just see like what I want the next year of my life to look like, where I want to be by the next age that I will be. And I'm feeling like this is gonna be a really exciting year. Even in the next like month, I have some really just like crazy opportunities coming my way that I'm like, how did we get here, you know? Okay, I'm adding our browned butter that I already made. I wanted to talk to you about this though. When you make this, a lot of recipes, and I don't think this one does, but a lot of times if you look up like how to make browned butter, they will tell you to strain it. And I'm here to tell you, don't do that. Leave all these little brown dregs and bits in there. That's what gives you the like delicious, nutty, like fall flavor of browned butter. So scrape the bottom of your pan and put all that good stuff in there. Don't let it go to waste. Okay, we've got our delicious wet ingredients. We're gonna add this to our dry ingredient mix, get that all mixed together. I usually set kind of a word for each year that I want to be kind of my motto or like what I'm focusing on. And even though I wasn't aware how bad it was gonna get, my health had been not good for a couple years going into my last birthday. And so my word last year was health. And I feel really good leaving 30 knowing that that like main thing that had to be dealt with and had to be achieved for me to move into the next chapter of my life and be okay and be able to do what I want to do with my life. I feel really good about that. I think this year's word is play. I want to give myself permission to play more, to have fun, to enjoy myself, to like make things just for the fun of making them. I went and saw the band Max Sabbath a couple of days ago, which is, they call themselves a drive-through metal band. They're a Black Sabbath tribute band that are dressed as like metal versions of the Ronald McDonald world characters, and they do like fast food parodies of Black Sabbath songs. They're so fun. And I made a cosplay of like a soul-stealing version of the Hamburglar. And I had so much fun making that costume and like sewing just for the fun of it. I don't do that anymore. And then the concert was just like so stupid in the best way. It was completely unserious. I had such a good time. And I just want to create more of those opportunities for myself this year, doing things just for fun, creating just for fun, because those are the things that then feed my creative soul and give me the capacity and the excitement to do things here and like make me a better creator, make me fun to watch. So for 31, we're focusing on play. Okay, we've got our batter all mixed up. It looks delicious. Now I'm trying to decide, I do have this like small heart-shaped pan. This is only like a 6-inch pan. It's pretty small, but it's kind of just like a perfect shape for a planchette. And I think we still have plenty of room for the glass. I don't know, I don't want to make it too small, but I also think keeping it like more manageable for decorating is probably a good thing. And to be real with y'all, I always end up making these gimungo cakes for my birthday and then like half of them or more don't get eaten. So this is like a manageable size. Okay, I've got this greased up. I'm gonna put our batter in here. This recipe is absolutely made for a larger cake than this, so I may end up putting the rest of this batter in like a loaf pan or something, just making a little a side cake. All right, so we're just gonna pop her in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes and then we'll be back. Okay, so the cake is fully cooled at this point and I have made our dulce de leche buttercream, which honestly worked out great because the dulce de leche gave it already kind of like a very light orange coloration to it, which is going to lend itself well to what we're doing. But before we do anything, we need to level the cake and we need to do a little crumb coat on it. You know, I get a little bit more professional here each year. And so for this particular cake, it was important that we have a turntable. So I have this little turntable and we're gonna use this to work at leveling off our cake. We're gonna start with the bubbly top here. So now I'm gonna try very carefully to cut this into 2 layers. And I'm turning the cake. I'm just kind of going around the outside. Okay. I think we're on to something here. Here, I'm gonna pull out a little cutting board so we have a place for this. Oh my gosh, we did it! Wait, okay. I've never done like a really good 2-layer situation like that before. I feel really proud of that. Now we're gonna use the part that was in the bottom of the cake pan as the top of the cake because that's the flattest part. Okay, now we're ready. So I'm gonna put a little bit down here and we're gonna use this for the bottom layer. Try to get it centered. Press that down a little. Then we're gonna fill it with a nice tasty layer. This buttercream, y'all, I did try it and it's so good. I'm gonna use this little spatula to spread it around. Y'all, before you know it, we're gonna have Midge's Bakery. Yum. Okay. So now we're gonna put this on top. Make sure we're lined up. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I am so excited. Question we need to ask ourselves is, before we do anything else, I actually should have done that before I laid it down. I want to cut my little planchette chunk out of this top layer. And I've got just a little cookie cutter that is the same radius as the isomalt melt. I think we're gonna do it right here. Press it into the cake. Like I said, I definitely should have done this before I layered the cake on itself, but that's okay. Okay, we got him. It's okay. Ooh. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Okay. I figured we'd do that. To be honest, I don't know if that's the best way to do it. But we're gonna like frost over it. And you know, give the illusion that there's a hole all the way through the cake. Okay, so like I said, we are doing our crumb coat. So I'm just gonna go around the sides here with some more buttercream. Smoosh that all around. So I'm just trying to get it as like fully coated as possible to start. And then we're gonna go in and like really thin this out. Kind of thinking of it as like like wall spackle, you know, and you have to kind of like put it on really thick, and then you go in with your trowel or whatever and kind of wipe back over it. And then, keeping with our very professional cake maker theme, I have this scraper, I guess. And I'm gonna just take this around the edge. Want to really get in this crevice. Y'all, I am feeling pretty good about that. Got a few little areas that didn't quite take. I'm gonna patch those up just a little, and then just making sure that this part where we cut the hole looks nice and circular. I'm realizing. I'm glad I scraped that on the edge because I should be keeping that separate. It has crumbs in it. We don't want that in the rest of our buttercream. I am beginning to question my judgment on cutting the hole in the cake, but that's okay. We're gonna figure it out. So we've got our crumb coat down. I'm gonna let this sit in the fridge for just a minute and kind of harden up a little, and then we are gonna dye our buttercream to be the colors that we want for decoration. So while our crumb coat is setting, I've got my remaining buttercream divided into 3 parts, 1 large and 2 smaller sizes. The smaller will be for our piping. This is gonna be the full coverage color of buttercream. I hope that I have enough. I ended up doubling, or actually even over doubling, the amount that was in the recipe, and I still feel like it might not be quite enough for our full cake, but here's hoping. So I have all my food colorings here. Oh, good. Okay, this one looks like it has a bright orange. Oh, and this is gel, so a little of this goes a long way. So like I said, this is already pretty orange on its own, but I'm gonna add just a little bit of orange coloring just for an extra pop of color. I don't want it to be like insanely orange, but I want it to be kind of a nice light, I guess kind of peachy, I don't know. My thought about keeping it light is that it will kind of still look like the wood of a planchette, or at least that's my hope. Okay, I think we've got that in a pretty good, the light's probably washing it out a little bit more than it is in person, but you can kind of see the original like taupe versus this. It's definitely very light, but again, I think that's what I want it to look like. I'm gonna pull our cake and we're gonna check on it because I don't want to dye these two until I'm sure we have everything squared with our base level. I literally saw this in the fridge and was like, oh my gosh, there's a huge hole in it. Yes, that was the point. Okay, now instead of what we did last time with the crumb coat, I'm going to go around the whole cake, turning the turntable and kind of stacking up the buttercream in like ringlets so that we get nice even coverage across the whole cake. Okay, we've got the sides built up. Now we're gonna do the same thing around the top of the cake. We had plenty, yay! So now taking this little guy, I'm gonna start on top and just kind of doing back and forth motions and turning the turntable, spreading out all that buttercream. And then once it feels like it's pretty even, I'm gonna start kind of scraping it just a little bit with the side of the knife. I don't wanna take too much off. I can tell this spot down here is gonna be our problem child. It's not like wanting to hold the icing, I guess would be how I would phrase it. Okay, so this has definitely been the most challenging part for me, is trying to get this to look somewhat smooth. I'm not expecting it to look perfect by any means, because this is my first time trying to do something like this. But I would like it to look better than it does. Anyway, I'm gonna scrape the sides now to clean up the shape. Okay. I do feel generally good about where this is heading. So I am going to let it set, I think, for just a minute. I don't know if that's something you can do, if you can do a second coat, but I am going to, is what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge, let it set up, and then we'll do another coat, and then we'll come back and pipe it. So after all that of trying to get it so smooth, I ended up deciding to do like kind of a wood texture on it with a fork, because I liked it looking more planchette-y. And now I'm gonna go in and start piping. So I've got my black buttercream, I couldn't remember the word, in this bag, and I've got orange over here. I want the black to be the like major, like the larger border. Before we do it on the cake though, I'm going to use my silicone mat and just do a few practice like things and see if I remember how to do this, which I already don't. Okay, go up and back, up and back. That's not horrible. So let's see, we're gonna start at the bottom, I guess, and go around. Okay, I'm gonna do one kind of like right here to accentuate the shape. You know what? That is honestly not too shabby at all. I am realizing that I should have started with the base. So we're gonna go around the base now. Beautiful. There we go. And then I think want to do this narrower tip with the orange. I'm gonna do some of these like on the side and just do like little florets and kind of pull away. Oh, those don't look very good. Oh no, I should have done this one first. It looks really bad. There we go, we'll do this. And we'll see if we can fix the other one retroactively. Okay. Well, you know, there's one really ugly spot on every cake, right? Or two. This was the part I was most confident about, and it's the part that looks the worst. So we're just about finished here, but our last little detail is the most important. There are many different beliefs surrounding Ouija boards and planchettes, but one I have heard over and over and over is that a planchette loses its power when the glass is removed. So currently we don't have any glass in our planchette. We want it to be at full power for spooky season. So we're going to insert these little bits here. So first, to fill the hole, I have this little piece of white chocolate that I just put in a mold for the right size and painted with edible paint 31 on there. We're gonna start by sticking that down in the hole. Then in that same mold, I made the isomalt little domed piece that we're just gonna place on top, and you should be able to see the 31 through there. Yay! I will say it's a little cloudier than I would like, but we get the point. All right, so there she is, my spooky Planchette 31 birthday cake. I am overall pleased with how this came out. I think it's very hard for me to beat last year's cake. Last year, I think, was my favorite cake I've ever done, and it's gonna hold top position for me for a long time, I think. But, you know, it's easy to get down on yourself and like see the flaws. Like, I wish I would have not done the little dots around it and done something different, or I wish I would have switched up like the way I used the tips for the icing. But when I stop and really look at this and I think about like what this cake would have looked like if I had tried to do something like this 5 years ago, I'm really proud of how far I've come as a amateur baker. I think with a couple more practice tries, I could get decent at making these type of cakes. I do really like the way the little glass bit turned out. I think that's very cute. I will say I tasted the side cake with some of the leftover buttercream on it, and this is for sure the best tasting cake I have ever made. It is absolutely delicious. Be sure to check out that recipe if you're wanting a really good fall cake recipe. It's so tasty, and I'm really, really happy with the flavor profile. I think if anything too, this is a really good reminder for me of literally what I was saying earlier in this video, that my word for 31 is to play. And this was fun. I got to try something and make something that I've never made before. And sometimes that in itself is the success, is just to try. And I'm really happy that I tried. I think this is pretty darn good for my first attempt, and I think I'll definitely be trying this again. So that is it. Another year come and gone, another birthday cake for the books. Thank you all so much for being here for another year, for continuing to indulge me in this little tradition. It really does just set me in the right headspace to start the year off right. Thank you for your continued support of this channel. It means the world to me, and I'm excited to spend another glorious year with all of you. I'm also so excited about all the content we have coming up this spooky season. If you are not already, be sure to subscribe to the channel before you leave today, because you are going to want to see this dining room video that is coming at you. This is Honestly, all this is next level. I am so hyped about it. We also have some exciting collaborations coming up and just lots of great content coming your way, so you're not going to want to miss that. You can also find even more content from me over on Patreon. I can tell you that this week, Patreon is getting a Beetle Week vlog that is going to be full of all of the things I am doing this week to celebrate both my birthday and the release of Beetlejuice 2. I don't even have words for the level of excitement that I am at for this film. I think it's going to be very interesting how I process this new film and how all that will go. So I'm very excited to take you along with me for that. You can also find more content from me on my Instagram, and you can listen to my podcast, Ghouls Night In, wherever you listen. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, keep it campy, kooky, glamorous, and spooky. Bye!